Today we're going to talk about some very basic at-home easy ways for you to address lower back pain. Now it is very important to address that if you do have specific injuries, if you are working in any way with a doctor or physical therapist to address your personal issues, continue working with the doctor, ask them about these ideas before you implement them into your routine. I am not a doctor. And what I'm going to suggest to you today are some easy ways to address some everyday culprits that lead to lower back discomfort. Obviously, there are lots and lots of different reasons for low back pain, and these are just a few of the things that I have found that in the general population, with an injury-free body, just kind of activities of our daily life that lead to us feeling tight or stiff or uncomfortable in the lower back. So, come with me today. You are going to need one yoga block for this little sequence that we're going to go through, so just make sure that you have that off to the side of you, easy to grab, but come down onto your back and lay flat. And once you lay down, step your feet open as wide as the mat and let your knees drop together. Just place one hand over the heart, one hand over the belly, close the eyes. Begin to slow down the breath. And allow this breath to just be your gateway into your body. Start to tune into what's going on in your body. Just taking a moment to check in. I oftentimes think of these things that we do with our bodies on the mat as science experiments. Before you do any experiment, it's important to take note of how things are starting, to get a baseline idea. You can tell when it's over what the practice has done for you, what's shifted, what's worked, what maybe hasn't worked. Start to establish a very steady and balanced rhythm of breath in and out. And then keeping that rhythm of the breath, step your feet hip width apart and place your hands on your hips. You're going to keep your butt on the mat. As you inhale, think of a cow spine. You're going to lift your lower back away from the mat, like you are creating a tunnel of space between your lower back and the mat. And then as you exhale, think of a cat spine. Bring the lower back onto the mat. Think of scooping out the belly like a giant ice cream scoop from pubic bone all the way up to sternum. Inhale, think of cow spine. Create that tunnel under the lower back. And exhale, think of cat. Just continue like this a few more rounds. And you may notice that doing this, you already feel some tightness in the lower back, and that's completely normal, just something to note and to be aware of. Take one more round here. Inhale for that cow spine. Exhale for your cat spine and hold the cat spine. So the navel is drawing down, the lower back is pressing into the mat. Keep the lower back pressing down and lift your right leg to tabletop. Keep the low back pressing down, lift your left leg to tabletop. Keep your low back pressing down, inhale, touch right toes to the mat. Exhale, lift them up. Try not to anticipate. Inhale, touch left toes to the mat. Exhale, lift them up. Inhale, right toes touch down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, left toes down. Exhale, lift. Continue a few more rounds with your breath. Really important here that you're keeping that cat spine, keeping the lower back sealed,
and also keeping the breath full. So we're training the abdominals here to activate, to support the spine, while we also allow ourselves to breathe, which is pretty important as we move through our day. One more time each side. Once you've done an equal number on both sides, step both feet to the mat. With your feet down, inhale for that cow spine, arching the lower back. Exhale for cat. Now keep that cat spine, press into your feet and lift your hips for bridge. Place the palms down. Hips come to the mat. Inhale is cow, arching the lower back. Exhale is cat. Keep cat and lift your hips up. We're going for 3 more. Inhale for cow, hips down, arch the back. Exhale, cat, and up to bridge. 2 more times, hips down, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat, to bridge. Once more, hips down, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat, up to bridge and hold. Now press the feet down, really squeeze the hips higher. So we're activating, we're turning on our glutes and our hamstrings here. These muscles that when they get weak or maybe just don't fire as naturally can lead to some discomfort in the lower back. So we're just taking a moment to activate, awaken, and strengthen. Now keep your hips lifted, reach for your block. Place that block on the second height underneath of your hips and then rest your hips down. Now make sure that that block is across the bony flat part of the back of your pelvis, not on the soft part of your low back. With your hips supported, and if this is too high, you can go to the lower height. With your hips supported, bring your knees into your chest. Take both hands onto your left knee and up to the ceiling, extend the right leg. Now hug the waistline in like you had shrink wrap around your core. Keep the core tight, lower that right leg just above parallel to the floor. Keep the core tight and start to pulse that right leg. So we have this muscle called the iliopsoas muscle, and it runs from the front of the spine. It runs under the abdominals through the front of the hip and into the inner leg. And this muscle is a really, really big part of how our lower back feels. We're just taking a moment to activate this iliopsoas muscle. Take about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the leg straight, just drop it onto the floor. And so now we're stretch out that same muscle that we just worked. I like to use my hands to pull my left knee a little closer. You can do that, but not to a point that feels forced or like too much. Go ahead and bring that right knee back in. Both hands to the right knee. Extend the left leg up to the ceiling. Again, hug the waist in, support the spine, and then lower that left leg about just above parallel to the floor, and start those pulses. Now really make sure that these are true pulses and not just bouncing the leg, but it's really controlled. Oftentimes discomfort in the body comes from an imbalance. And it can be an imbalance of strength versus mobility. It can be imbalances from right to left. This is a really great sort of test here to see the difference from right to left, to also see the difference between this strengthening action, and then in just another moment when we'll drop the leg for this lengthening action, go ahead and release the left leg to the floor. And so you notice maybe it's easier to do the strength part and then it feels really tight for the stretch. That would be an imbalance where there's more strength and less mobility in this specific muscle. Again, none of it's necessarily good or bad. It's all just about learning about your body. Beginning to recognize where those imbalances exist. If it feels good, you can bring the right knee a little closer. Go ahead and step both of your feet flat. Press into your feet, lift your hips up, slide the block out, and then go ahead and just roll your spine back down. Once your hips land, drop your knees right and left. Point your knees to the ceiling. Cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Option 1, right hand to inner knee, just press that knee open. Now, if this feels like a stretch for you, awesome, stay. To take it a little deeper, hands to left hamstring as you draw the shape in. Option maybe hands to left shin bone. Full breaths into that right hip. Just 2 more breaths. Switch sides, left ankle on top. Maybe left hand to inner knee, just gently guiding it open and stay there. Maybe hands to the right hamstring, maybe all the way to the shin bone. It's important to note here that the back of the pelvis is flat on the mat. The neck and the jaw and the shoulders are relaxed. Two more big breaths. Go ahead and hug your knees into your chest. Nice and easy, drop your knees to the left, open the chest to the right. Take your knees to the right, open the chest to the left. Roll onto your back, step your feet flat. Where we began, step your feet a little wider than your mat, drop your knees together. Place one hand over the heart, one hand over the belly, eyes closed. Once more, just check in. Noticing through those 10 minutes, what's shifted? What did you learn about your body? What works for you, and what will you simply release and forget about? Each of our bodies are unique. So interesting to learn about. This time you're taking is really just about learning about yours. What works for you, what doesn't work for you. Yogis, feel free to stay here as long as feels good. When you are ready to rise, please do so slowly and gently. Thank you for joining. Namaste.